7 children were laughing and playing, their small boat gliding across the still waters of an icy lake. It was a school outing, a day meant for joy and bonding. But suddenly, tragedy struck. The boat capsized and the children plunged into the freezing water. Rescue attempts were frantic, but by the time the children were pulled out, they were gone. Lifeless. And yet, something extraordinary happened. Despite being submerged for over 6 hours, 2 of the children began to show signs of life. Medics worked tirelessly, and against all odds, the children were revived. How? Could it have been the frigid water that slowed their body functions? Was it some kind of medical miracle? This haunting incident raises an age-old question. Can people truly come back to life after death? Throughout history, humanity has danced around the thin line between life and death, clinging to stories of miraculous resurrections. From ancient myths to modern science, the fascination with reversing death has shaped our understanding of mortality and pushed the limits of what we dare to dream. Take the ancient Egyptians, whose elaborate mummification rituals were designed to ensure a safe journey to the afterlife. Or the story of Jesus Christ, whose resurrection is the cornerstone of Christianity, offering hope to billions. Even in ancient Greek mythology, figures like Orpheus ventured into the underworld, driven by the desperate desire to bring loved ones back. But as these myths evolved, so did human ambition. The pursuit of resurrection shifted from the realm of gods to the laboratory, where science began to probe the mysteries of death. In the 18th century, Luigi Galvani's experiments with animal electricity captured the world's imagination. By passing electric currents through dead frogs, Galvani made their limbs twitch as if they were alive. Though far from true resurrection, these experiments hinted at the possibility that life might not be so final. This idea reached terrifying new heights in the 1930s with Dr. Robert Cornish, a controversial scientist who believed he could conquer death itself. Cornish's experiments began with animals. He devised a bizarre contraption, a seesaw-like table that rocked back and forth to stimulate blood circulation in corpses. He paired this mechanical device with injections of adrenaline and anticoagulants, hoping to jumpstart the body's vital functions. To everyone's shock, he succeeded in reviving several dogs. These animals, once pronounced dead, began to move and breathe again. But they weren't the same. Some were blind, others displayed severe brain damage. Still, they were alive. Proof that death might not be as permanent as we believed. Encouraged by his success, Cornish proposed an even bolder experiment, reviving a human. He sought permission to work on recently executed prisoners, arguing that his research could change the world. But the public and the scientific community balked. The ethical implications were staggering. What if the revived person wasn't truly the same? What if they came back wrong? Cornish's work was eventually shut down, his reputation tarnished by controversy. But the questions he raised remain hauntingly relevant. Around the same time, similar experiments were taking place in the Soviet Union. Sergei Bryukhanenko, a pioneering scientist, developed the autojector, an early heart-lung machine. Using this device, Bryukhanenko achieved a chilling feat. He kept severed dog heads alive. These disembodied heads blinked, licked their lips, and even responded to stimuli, seemingly defying death itself. The experiments, though groundbreaking, were deeply unsettling, blurring the line between life and lifelessness. As the 20th century progressed, the fascination with overcoming death took new forms. Cryonics emerged as a radical movement, offering people the chance to have their bodies frozen after death in the hope of future revival. While James Bedford became the first cryonically preserved individual, the practice remained shrouded in uncertainty. Could these frozen bodies ever truly come back to life? Or is it just an elaborate form of denial? Even without cutting-edge technology, spontaneous resurrections have continued to baffle scientists. The Lazarus phenomenon, where patients suddenly regain a heartbeat after failed resuscitation efforts, has been documented in several cases. In one chilling instance, a 70-year-old man in India regained consciousness during his own autopsy. These stories challenge our understanding of death, forcing us to ask, what does it really mean to be alive? Imagine if a human were successfully revived today, what would happen next? Beyond the medical marvel, the implications would be staggering. Would the revived person retain their memories, their identity? Or would they be a blank slate, a stranger in their own body? Legal questions would also arise. Could a person declared dead reclaim their rights? And how would society perceive them? A miracle or an abomination? Even more troubling are the ethical dilemmas. If we can bring people back to life, should we? Death is often seen as a natural endpoint, a finality that gives life meaning. Interfering with that process could have unforeseen consequences, both for the individual and for humanity as a whole. Science has made incredible strides in recent years. Advances in preserving brain activity, organ transplantation, and even cloning have brought us closer to answering these questions. Yet the line between life and death remains shrouded in mystery. After centuries of myths, experiments, and near miracles, one unsettling truth remains. Death may not be as final as we think. But perhaps the real question isn't whether we can come back to life, but whether we should. Because some doors once opened can never be closed.